Good evening, everybody. Come on in. Why does it seem like it's so close in my face? Good grief. Good evening, everybody. Come on in. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. So I can't share this on my Coach Chaun page. So not my Coach Chaun page, my Chaun Johnson page. So make sure that's better. Okay. So make sure when you ladies come in the room, make sure you share the video, okay? Because a lot of people still don't know where to find me when I do my coaching sessions on Sundays. So when you come in, make sure you share. Hey, Nick Busby, how are you? So I had to do the live coaching session with you ladies. Hey, Deidre. I had to do it while I was in the midst of cooking because I had to go to Chicago today. My schedule got away from me. I didn't get back in time, but I still had to cook dinner, okay? So you guys are joining me while I'm wrapping up dinner. That's what I'm doing, but I was like, I'm still dedicated to my ladies. I still got to come on here and do my coaching session like I said. We had the time carved out, okay? And so I said, I'm going to get on here and I'm going to do it with you guys. We still going to have a good conversation, and then we're going to go from there. To my Instagram people, if you used to seeing me on Instagram, I'm not on Instagram tonight because I don't have my laptop. My laptop is being repaired because it was broken. So I'm only on Facebook. I am going to put this onto my YouTube channel though. So to my YouTube people, hi, I love you guys. If you catch me on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell, okay? Thank you, Gloria, for sharing. Hey, Sherelle. Hey, guys. So tonight I'm actually getting ready to put my steaks on. I got my steaks in the marinade, okay? So they've been marinating for several hours, okay? So they good to go. I'm getting ready to put those in. I just pulled my mac and cheese out the oven. So they go to mac and cheese, little peas, okay, in the oven for the babies. And then we're gonna have us some Hawaiian rolls, okay? So I'm gonna get them in the oven after the steaks come out, put a little melted butter on top, and that's dinner, okay? But that ain't what this is about. This is about a live coaching session, but I'm just letting you guys know what I'm doing, okay? So as usual, again, thank you ladies so much for joining me for our coaching session on Sunday. Share the video when you come in. Tag some other beautiful ladies if you know of anybody that would like to take part in our live coaching sessions every Sunday. Make sure you tag them and say, girl, come on in. Make sure you grab your drink of choice and make sure you grab your pen and paper, okay? Because when I tell you, when we come in for our coaching sessions, this is interactive and this is for you to get some things and perhaps help you out in whatever you may be dealing with or battling with. And I'm hoping that as I do these sessions, that help you wonderful ladies, okay? I don't have a drink of choice this week because I'm cooking. So I didn't grab nothing. I had a little bit, I had some water, so maybe that's my drink of choice. You see how much is left because I've been drinking it while I've been cooking. So that's that. So again, welcome all to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys follow me on all my social media. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I'm Coach Chaun on all of those. So that's where you can find me all over social media, okay? If you're interested in learning more information about my coaching or my personal advising, you can email me at coachchaunjohnson@gmail.com. I did put the email address in the description box, so you can definitely find me there. Let me throw this extra marinade away. And then also for future week's sessions, if there's a topic that you want me to address or you want me to dive into or you want me to talk about, make sure you put those in the comments, because even after our live coaching session is done, I still read the comments. And if there's a particular issue you're dealing with, a topic you want me to address, or you want me to tackle with these live coaching sessions, make sure you put it in the comments, and then I can make sure that I address it on next week's live coaching session, okay? So with that being said, let me throw my steaks in the oven first. I got my broil going. Let me see. Yep, I got my broil going. I'm gonna have to turn on the vent, because when the oven is on broil, honey, I need to clean it. But when the oven is on broil, it gets it going, and sometimes it get a little smoky, and then the smoke detector go off. So y'all might really get a laugh if that smoke detector start going off, girl, because I'm gonna have to go and fan it and get that thing to shut up. So I don't know why this ventilation don't work the way it's supposed to work real good, but sometimes this thing gets to smoking like I done burnt that whole house down, girl, and ain't nothing happened. But we just do what we do, okay? And we just roll with the punches. So I'm getting ready to put the steaks in. 10 minutes on one side, 10 minutes on the other side, they done, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead, put my little steaks in, and then we're going to get to talking. Make sure you guys grab your homework from not last week, because we had to skip last week because of my the death in my family. But the week before, I gave you guys a homework assignment, and I know some of you guys did it because you guys were talking about it, and you guys were telling me how you were looking forward to talking about it last week. So grab your homework. If you remember what you did, grab it so we can talk about it, because we're going to recap. We're going to talk about the homework for those who did it, so we can kind of share, bounce ideas off of one another, and then we'll get into this week's coaching session, okay? And then we'll go from there. Okay, let me go open up the patio door, girl. I'm trying to keep this smoke detector from going off. Okay. All right, I'm coming back, y'all. Okay, so let me wash my hands again. All right, so you wash my hands again, girl. Because anytime you walk away from your food and your cooking, you got to rewash your hands. All right, so so our last session that we had, we talked about change. We talked all about how change is good for you. Sometimes it can be scary. How you need to make sure that when you're implementing a change in your life, make sure that you're doing it for yourself and nobody else. So that's all that we talked about last week, or a week before last. And the activity / homework that I gave you wonderful ladies the last session that we were in together was that I wanted you to pick one thing that you normally do routinely the same way, whether it was the way you drive to work, how you drink your coffee, when you go exercise, whatever you do on a routine basis. I wanted you to pick one thing and I wanted you to change it. And then I gave you 4 questions to think about in regards to that activity. I told you to think about, I said, how did it make you feel? I wanted you to document how it made you feel. What made you resistant to the change? Because we know change, sometimes we're real resistant to things changing. What did you think could have made it easier for you to change it up? And then, was it really as bad as you thought? And those were the 4 things that I wanted you to answer when you picked that one thing and you changed it. So I'm going to give you ladies a couple of moments. If anybody that's on here right now, if you did it, I want you to put in the comments your answers to these questions, and we're going to kind of talk about it briefly, and then we'll get into this week's topic. And then even if you catch this on the playback or you catch this on YouTube, please definitely put it in the comments, either on here or on YouTube, because I read all the comments. And so if you did the activity or the assignment, make sure you put it in the comments. I'm interested to see how it made you feel and all these things, because the reason why I made you do it, because a lot of people, they're so resistant to change because they think it's going to be harder than they thought, or they think it's going to be a huge disruption to themselves, or you know, whatever. And the reason why I made you guys do that is because I wanted you to see that when you pick something and you change it, at the end of the day, it's not as bad as you think. I'm pretty sure it wasn't as bad as you thought. But definitely put that in the comments. If any of you guys did it, I'm going to give you a few moments to see if anybody did do it and what you thought about it. And then we'll talk about the answers that we see, if any. And then if there are no answers, then I will go ahead and get into this week's topic, okay? All right, forgot to set my timer, but I think that was about 3 minutes. I think I'm good by giving it another 7 minutes on that side. Let me grab my tongs so I can flip my steaks. Don't be shy. Make sure you share your responses. If any of you guys did it from last time, make sure you share your responses. Let me get my butter so I can melt my butter for my rolls. And then, like I said, if I see no responses, if none of you guys did it, that's okay. But I want you to understand, I'm not threatening you with a knife now, but I want you guys to understand, when you're logging into these coaching sessions with me every week, it's not just to hear me talk. It's to be interactive. It's for you to participate. It's for you to get something from it, because I'm not doing these videos for me, okay? I'm doing these videos to potentially help you ladies. So if you're not going to do the activities and you're not going to do the assignments and the homework and stuff like that, then that's up to you. But I do these things for a reason, not just because I want to tell y'all what to do. Okay. All right, so I see nobody. So from that tells me that nobody on here did the activity from the last session. So that's that. But I'm gonna keep doing it because oh, so Miss Sabrina said change on handling a disagreement with her mate. Okay, so if you don't mind sharing, if you can tell me how did it make you feel to change that, what made you resistant to changing it, what did you think could have made it easier by making that change, and was it really as bad as you thought? If you can answer any of those questions for me, that would be amazing. And that's a good thing that Sabrina brought up about changing how you deal with disagreements, because when you are in a relationship, and that was something that I had to learn myself, when you are in a relationship and conflict arises, and every single time conflict arises, it doesn't go well, it's time to stop and think, okay, we need to maybe look at this differently. We need to address it differently. We may need somebody to help us hear each other. Like, you don't keep, that's the definition of insanity. Like, don't keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. Like, if it's not working out, then you need to do something different, okay? Sabrina said she's usually the one that tries to break the ice first. He actually broke the ice first this time. Okay, good. So he made the change instead of you. So that's good. Mickey said, I wasn't here, but I did make some changes last week. I requested Sunday and Thursday off because I work 7 days a week and double, but I've been attending church and Bible study. Also, I started meal prepping on Sundays because I eat out so much because I'm never home. Those are good changes. And Mickey made those changes for herself, which is one of the main things that I mentioned when we had our last coaching session. I said, make sure that when you decide to make a change in your life, make sure you're making the change for you. Because if you're just making a change because you think it's going to make somebody else happy, or you think that's what somebody expects you to do, it's not going to be a good thing. So if you guys did not catch the last coaching session, make sure you guys go back and watch that replay. You can even find it on my YouTube channel. It's probably easier to find it that way instead of scrolling through all the posts on this page, or you can just go to the videos on here and find it. Sabrina said, when I allowed him to come to me first, he actually opened up more and communicated better when he was ready to talk. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Sometimes changing that up makes a huge, huge difference, okay? I'm sorry, y'all, I'm getting my butter, so let me grab me a paper towel so I can melt my butter in the microwave. So yeah, sometimes we have to learn how to let go of control sometimes, especially in a relationship where we're used to kind of being in charge with conflict resolution and stuff like that. And what you find with that is that sometimes when you're always the person to break the ice, you're always the person to try to fix it, you can get tired. You can get tired of always being the one that seems like you're the one that wants to fix it, and the other person just waits for you to come around. And it's good that you finally allow him to do that, because I think that you guys will see a change like you did, where he was more open and more willing to communicate. So that's really, really good, and I'm glad that you had a positive outcome from that. So kudos to you. And Mickey, thank you so much for sharing, okay? So we're going to get into this week's coaching session. I got 2 minutes before I got to flip my steaks. So this week, what I want to talk about is, the title that I made it was Teach by Example and with Love. So the reason why this topic came about this particular week for our coaching session is because, as some of you guys may know, I lost a cousin this past weekend. It's one of my baby cousins. It's been very difficult. I think I've shared on my personal page how difficult it's been, and how I've done a lot of self-reflection and things like that. And so somehow, now I didn't sign up for this, somehow I ended up being the person that's kind of leading with all of the funeral arrangements and speaking with being a liaison for the family with the funeral home, and getting the obituaries. And don't take it as me saying I've been doing everything, because I have not. A lot of my cousins and my sisters have also been doing things with finding clothes and doing a lot. So please don't hear me say that I've done everything, because I've not. But I have been kind of like the lead in the situation. And so I have been kind of, sharing this with Candy about how, I've been, trying to get everything done and kind of leading the charge and stuff like that. And it made me realize that in the midst of doing this, a lot of the other people, or the young people in my family, because our grandmother is the oldest now, that my great-grandmother passed away 3 years ago. But so she's the elder in the family, and so it's all been within like my generation and generation right below me that has been trying to really get everything established and done for the service. And so it made me realize that, and then my older cousin, but it made me realize that there's a lot of things that the younger people in my family just don't know how to do. And hold on 1 second, you guys, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Hold that thought, y'all. I just gotta flip my face. Hold that thought, y'all. I'm still here with you. I'm just flipping my meat. Okay. And let me just do something as a precaution. It don't look too smoky, but I just want to fan the thing real fast. So talk amongst yourselves, say hello to everybody, get your pen and paper ready before we got to dive into this topic this week, and I'll be right back, okay? Okay. All right, y'all. I think I'm good this time. But anyway, so in the midst of all this planning and doing everything that I'm doing, what I realized is there were a lot of things that the younger people in my family just don't know how to do. And sometimes you will find yourself being thrown into or placed in a leadership position that you did not ask for, just because naturally other people either see you as a leader, or they see you as a responsible party, or they see you, and it's not that you take over or try to take over or anything like that, but just naturally you find yourself in that space. And that's how I have found myself with planning my cousin's service, is I found myself in that space. And there's a lot of things that I have realized that there's a lot of things that my sisters, my cousins, etc. need to learn or know how to do. And I think that I've shared with you guys before that I have two sisters that are younger than me. And, they've made choices that I necessarily would not have made, that I didn't necessarily like, etc., etc. And I'm not saying anything that they don't know, okay? So it ain't like I'm talking behind their back. I don't do that. She don't do that. Whatever she says, she will say to the person. And I realized that, and Candy actually helped me. She's on here. Hey, Candy. Candy actually has been, girl, she's been coaching me this week, honey. When I tell you, even the life coach, you need a coach sometimes, Candy has been pouring into me, and I'm so grateful to her. But she was the person that made me really stop and think about some things when it came to my sisters, the younger women in my family, and other people in my family that maybe I look at them and be like, well, why don't you know how to do this? Or why you not? Why? And she was the one that really gave a couple of analogies, and I hope that I do them justice, and I probably won't, and whatever. But she made me realize some things, is that when people lack certain knowledge or certain abilities or whatever, the best way to help them and to raise them up is to teach by example and to teach with love. Because I know for a fact that when my sisters were younger, when they did some things that I didn't necessarily like or didn't really care for, or wish that they had made better or different decisions, however you want to look at it, instead of coming at them with love, or perhaps trying to give them a better example or whatever, I would just be like, well, why? I came at them negatively. I'd be like, well, why would you do that? And why did you choose to do that? And that's not good. And you know better. And da-da-da-da-da. And I came to them in like this authoritative figure, rather than being a sister and being an example, spending more time with them, and all these things. And so Candy really gave me two really good analogies that I loved, that she made me really, really think about that. And I'm going to get into those before we're done. But I wanted to do this particular video because I have been in the midst of my self-assessment and self-reflection and things like that. I've been wanting to try to help others, because what I have found, especially with me sharing how I kind of beat myself up about my cousin passing away and stuff like that, that a lot of people, or several people, I won't say a whole lot, but several people have said that I helped them, that they have found themselves in the same situation, that they have either pulled away or disconnected from their family, vice versa, so on and so forth. So I was like, well, let me talk about this, and maybe it will help somebody else open up and look at the way that they've handled things. And so one of the things that I want to tell people is that when you have a person in your life, or in your family or whatever, be it a child, a sibling, whoever, and they do things, right, Miss Sabrina hit the nail on the head. They tuned you out, and I'm going to get to that. When you come at people with ridicule, it's usually going to be met with resistance. Like when you come at a person and like, you should have made a better decision, and why did you do that, and you know better, and you wasn't raised that way, and this, and blah, blah, blah. Exactly what Sabrina just said. What happens is that's met with resistance, and they tune out. Because what they're looking at you is, they're looking at you critiquing them and coming down on them, and it's met with resistance. So you're going to get the exact opposite reaction that you were looking for when you thought that you were trying to better them or teach them or lift them up or encourage them or whatever. When you do it with ridicule or criticism or whatever, it's going to be met with resistance, and they're going to tune you out. They're not going to want to hear what you say, and you're going to get the exact opposite reaction or result that you were looking for. And so I realized when my sisters were younger, I don't do it anymore, but I realized that when my sisters were younger, I did that. And I realized that I made mistakes, and like, if I was looking for a better result, then probably the reason why I didn't get it, or it wasn't met, is because I thought I was doing it in love, but it probably wasn't received in love. In addition to that, instead of me ridiculing and trying to tell them what to do, I should have spent more time and led by example and been there and try and mentored them more so than what I was doing. And so when you have that type of situation, think about how you're handling it, and think about how you're addressing that individual. Because a lot of times, hey, Miss Lady, a lot of times, you gonna come down here and give them your examples that I'm gonna get into, or you finna watch those things?
I came to do work.
Oh, dang. Okay.
What did you need from me? I wasn't trying to be on camera. This is your time.
No, that's fine. But I was going to give them your examples that you gave me. I told them how you've been life coaching me all week. And I was going to give them the examples that you gave me. And I was like, I hope I do them justice, but whatever. So if you hear me saying something, feel free to jump in. You want to say hi to the people? Say hi to people.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. Candy just came to kiss you. You got 3 minutes for the safety done, and then I got to do the rolls. Anywho's it. And so that's what I kind of did when I did some self-reflection. And like I was telling you guys, Candy really helped me see things in a different light, because one of the examples that she gave me, I'm going to give them the glass example. That's what I was doing. Okay. So one of the examples that she gave me was as being a glass for a person. And what I mean by the glass is, when you look at a person, they're a piece of glass and you're a piece of glass, and their piece of glass may not be as shiny and clear. Sabrina said, come on, Candy. May not be as shiny and clear as yours. And instead of you going over there and looking at the glass and turning your face up and trying to tell them how dirty their glass is, what you do is you present yourself next to that glass and show them where those differences are. And so by you being an example and being around that individual, what they'll do is they'll see in you how clear and clean your glass is, and then they will then in turn want to basically clean their own glass, to be like, okay, I like that, I like what I see, I like the example that they're showing, and I want to be more so like that. Not be you, but see some of those positive traits that you're trying to instill in them once you then present yourself and offer yourself to them as an example, rather than pointing the blame and pointing the finger and all those things. Did I do it kind of in sort of injustice? Huh? Did I kind of do it justice? A little bit? Candy like, whatever. So that was one. And maybe she'll do a video one day and go into it better. And then...
What you want me to say?
I want you to say nothing. And then, and I was going to also tell them the example, the Nation of Islam example, about the young boy. Remember that? When he went to the meeting? Okay. And so that was one of the examples. And the second example that she gave me was there was a young man that went to a Nation of Islam meeting. And you know, typically they wear the suits with the bow ties. They're very clean cut, clean shaven. They're very presentable. And he was a younger person from the community. He went to the meeting, didn't have on a suit, hands sagging, etc., etc. But one of the things that they didn't do is they did not critique him, they did not ridicule him, they welcomed him in with love, they allowed him to come into the meeting, they just carried on like there was nothing wrong with his exterior. And what happened was he felt so welcome, but he felt so compelled that when he went to the next meeting, he also came in the suit and the tie and the bow tie and all of that. So it's one of those things where, again, leading by example and not critiquing and ridiculing, you get a better result. That's the steak, y'all. Hold on one second. Let me get them out, and then I got to cover them with the aluminum foil. Give me just a second.
Make the video.
Let me cover them up so they can warm up like they're supposed to after they come out the oven. Okay, you guys. All right. No.
Hope you learned something.
Let me turn my thing down so I can keep my rolls. All right, bring that down to 300. And then put my rolls in. Okay. Hey, Deonna, how are you? Make sure you share the video, hon. Melt my butter. Okay. So then, another thing that I've been learning through this process, in the process of planning my cousin's services, is another good tool that you can use when you're trying to teach and mentor somebody is delegation can be a good teaching tool. Because what happens when you delegate something, when you're realizing, okay, this person doesn't know how to do X, Y, and Z. So what I'm going to do is, and sometimes people are very afraid or they don't like to delegate because a lot of people are like, I'd rather just do it myself, that way I know it's done right. But when you don't allow a person to try, or you don't allow a person to do whatever the task is, how do you expect them to learn? Or how do you expect to be a mentor or something to somebody if you're not willing to allow them to try? They may make mistakes. It may not be perfect, whatever, but you have to learn how to delegate tasks in order for them to learn, so that when they're faced with that similar situation or the same situation in the future, they can think back and be like, you know what? My mom, my aunt, my cousin, my uncle, whoever taught me how to do this, or I remember doing this before. And they may even come to you and be like, can you go over that with me again? I know I did it, but it's been a while. Can you walk through it with me again? Delegation can be a very, very strong tool if used correctly, and if you allow yourself to relinquish that control and allow that to happen. A few more seconds, y'all. Okay. So that was really kind of what I wanted to talk about this week, is just really realizing that when you have somebody in your life that you're trying to uplift or encourage, be mindful on how you're doing it. Because if you're doing it in a negative manner, more than likely you're going to get negative results, and you're not going to get what you thought you were going to be able to get out of that situation or out of that person. And then you are going to be viewed by them as probably a person that they can't come to. They're not gonna trust coming to you about things, or they're gonna always feel like you're coming down on them, and they're always gonna probably feel like they're less than and all this, and that's not what you want. And I'm sure that's not the outcome that you were looking for. So that's what I wanted to do this week's session on. This one was not going to be, I knew this one was not going to be the full hour because I was cooking. But I still wanted to do it, especially since we had carved out the time. Let me see. Thank you, Sheila. Siobhan said it has to come from a place of peace and love and a balanced spirit. Absolutely. And that's kind of what I said earlier about you really having to teach by example and with love, because when you do it that way, it's received much better and the person will understand that and see it. Okay? So, any questions about what we've talked about thus far during the session, or anything else that you want to ask me about that's similar to this, that you may want to ask before we go into the activity for this week's coaching session? I'll give you guys time to write in the comment section. While I get my rolls out there. They're almost done. Hi, Nene. Thank you, Kimberly, for sharing. Thank you so much. Yeah, girl, you got to. She said teaching and cooking. I love it, girl. Hey, multitasking, okay? You got to do stuff to get done. I'll give you guys a couple of more moments just to see if there's any questions, and then I will give you guys the activity for this week.
You guys quiet.
You guys go and wash your hands. Thank you. Okay, so doesn't look like there's any questions. Good deal. But of course, if you guys think of questions after the fact, definitely go ahead and put them in the comments. I'll read them afterwards as well. And to my people over there on YouTube, if you have questions, make sure you put them in the comment section as well. Alright, so this week's activity, what I want you guys to do, let me finish putting my butter on here.
You guys have a seat at the table.
Alright, almost done. Alright, that is done. Okay, so for this week's activity, what I want you ladies to do is I want you to think about someone that in the past, maybe you addressed them negatively. Hi, Miss Amanda. Maybe you addressed them negatively, you noticed something in them that you were trying to change, and think about whether or not you went to them in a negative form. Find that person or think about that person. Then what I want you to do is I want you to reach out to that person. I want you to have a candid conversation with them. I want you to be open, because you may get a response or feedback from that person that you may not necessarily like. But that's how you grow, is when you're willing to hear from another person that perhaps you hurt or address negatively. When you're willing to hear them and to hear how you made them feel, that's how you grow. So I want you to think about that person. I want you to reach out to them and talk to them. I want you to have a candid conversation, and I want you to ask them, how did it make them feel when you addressed them in the manner that you did? Whether it was ridicule, whether it was criticism, however it was, ask them how it made them feel. Apologize to them. If when they respond to you, they give you that you made them have a negative response, apologize to them. And then I want you to find a way to try to teach and or mentor them in a more positive way by either leading by example or showing them the same thing with love. once you do that this week, I want you to make sure that you document how that conversation went, how it went, are you making progress, and how it's going, what you thought to do. And then when we meet next Sunday, I want you guys to go ahead and share that with the group and with us and with me, so we can kind of see how that came about. Okay? So that's all I have for this week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for sharing the video. I'm looking forward to the conversation next week for those ladies that choose to do the activity. And then we will dive into another topic next week. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Make sure, like I said at the beginning of the video, follow me on all my social media all over. Make sure that if there's a topic or something that you want me to address, make sure you put it in the comments. And then if you have questions, if you watch this as a playback and you have questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments, because I do see those after the fact and I will respond to them. So I hope you guys have a great week. I'll be checking in on you guys periodically as the week progresses. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Oh, you're so welcome, Nikki. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And I will talk to you guys next Sunday.